In the simplest terms, toxic positivity is denying our human experience, it's denying our feelings and shoving them down. And a healthier mindset, healthy positivity, is acknowledging, accepting, and validating every emotion that we feel. Welcome to Ebbs and Flows with Erin. In this show, we're getting real about navigating the ups and downs of life together. I'm your host, Erin, and we're ditching the pressure to have it all figured out along the way because honestly, nobody does. We'll explore all things healing, growing, creating, and connecting. And if you deal with anxiety, depression, being a highly sensitive person, or just feeling overwhelmed by life sometimes, I see you, and this show is for you. My intention with these conversations is simple: to leave you feeling empowered, validated, and most importantly, reminded that you are never alone, no matter where you're at on your own journey. Learning that we all have the power to heal genuinely changed my life. And the best part, healing does not have to be complicated. The smallest changes really can make the biggest impact, and it can be joyful, fulfilling, and something that we do together. So join me in getting real about what it means to heal. Thank you for being here, and now let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to Ebbs and Flows with Erin, or welcome back to Ebbs and Flows with Erin. Thank you for being here with me today, whether you are listening or you are watching over on YouTube. I am grateful to have you here today as we're going to dive into a topic that we all have experienced at some point in life and have most likely perpetuated somewhere along the way without even realizing it, and that is toxic positivity. This I have felt called to talk about because it was something that was helpful and healing to me along my journey to understand what toxic positivity is and then how to shift into a healthier mindset that acknowledges the human experience and allows you to actually feel and process your emotions, where toxic positivity is basically the mindset that you should keep a positive mindset no matter what you're experiencing, even in the face of pain or struggles and discomfort. So we're going to get into exactly what it is, how it holds you back, and then how you can shift into a healthier mindset for true, genuine, lasting, positive change. So understanding, in my experience, what toxic positivity is crucial for creating space for our authentic emotions and living a more balanced, regulated life. And it also creates more self-love and self-confidence because you're offering yourself self-compassion and the room to actually acknowledge and experience your emotions. And this doesn't mean that you have to sit in and wallow in the more negative, quote-unquote, emotions or feelings or situations, but you can be positive and have hope while also acknowledging and allowing space for the more negative emotions. Toxic positivity is defined as the belief that we should always maintain a positive mindset, even in the face of pain, struggles, or discomfort. It dismisses people's emotions, whether it's towards yourself or towards others, and suggests that positivity is the only reasonable response to absolutely anything that you experience in your life. So some examples of toxic positivity in action that you may be familiar with are phrases like just stay positive, or just think positive thoughts, or just be happy, or it's not that bad, or at least you have blank, or everything happens for a reason. Another example is on social media, where a lot of the time you can see accounts, people, brands portraying constant happiness, constant quote unquote perfection, portrayal of messaging that you should always be positive, you should always be happy, and that is the solution to everything. Even in terms of learning about the law of attraction, this was kind of one of the first steps of my what I call healing journey, but it happened almost 10 years ago now. And it was the very beginning, opening step to my self-development, self-growth, true healing journey. But yes, what we think and the power of our thoughts and how we speak our words to ourselves and to the universe matters, and there is weight to that. But if you aren't careful, you can get caught up in thinking or feeling like that is a solution to everything. If I just think positively, that is going to heal me, that is going to better my experience or whatever it is you're going through. For myself, I got caught in that for a while, a few years, several years even, along my journey when I wasn't actually creating space to even acknowledge what it was I was feeling, or allowing myself to feel feelings of sadness, maybe anger, shame, guilt, hurt, resentment, the more what some call low vibration or negative, whatever you want to call it, they're all just emotions and feelings on the spectrum of being a human. And while it's often in good intentions to try and shift yourself to just thinking positively, if that's all you're doing and never actually allowing yourself to process your true feelings or emotions and validate them and allow yourself to feel them and move through them, then the positivity really is just holding you back. And we're going to get more into that in a few minutes here. But on that note, another example of toxic positivity in action is internalizing this belief that any more negative feelings mean that you are failing. So you might hear things like good vibes only or high vibes only. Don't be in a low vibration or low vibrational feelings. You always need to take this with a grain of salt. And again, I learned this myself along my journey. You can not always be in good vibes or high vibes, and every emotion is part of the human experience, and you are inevitably going to feel the more negative, low, unpleasant feelings and emotions. And denying that and trying to cover it up or ignoring the fact of that matter is only going to harm you more than it is going to help you. And while saying that, you want to acknowledge these feelings, your emotions, but you don't want to sit in them for too long and spiral in them, wallow in them, get sucked up by them, which a lot of this is what we talk about in this podcast, is how to navigate the ups and downs of life without getting completely swallowed whole by them and spiraling and feeling lost and stuck in these more difficult feelings and emotions. So yes, having a positive mindset is possible while still acknowledging whatever it is that you are feeling, or acknowledging that things are tough or hard right now, or that you are feeling sad, angry, anxious, depressed, hurt, resentful, guilty, shameful, but having a healthy way of acknowledging that and processing it and working through it, while also hope and faith and trust, a belief that things are going to work out for you, that the universe is conspiring in your favor, that you are able to find meaning in whatever it is you're going through and feeling. That is a healthy, positive mindset. Whereas toxic positivity ignores all of that and only focuses on that you should be positive. And if you just think positive thoughts, it'll change your life. I hope this is making sense so far, understanding the difference between a healthy positivity and toxic positivity. Okay, so why and how does toxic positivity hold you back? Well, number one, it is suppressing our emotions. We all have heard by now, the body keeps the score. The emotions, the feelings that we don't acknowledge, we don't allow ourselves to feel or process, gets literally stored in our bodies, in our muscles, our tissues, our fascia. And this is where we come up with pain, discomfort, illnesses of the mind and body, mental and physical struggles. And there is so much evidence of this being true now. And I do feel that there is a lot more awareness of this and more talk about this fact that our emotions do need to be acknowledged and felt for literally our health and wellness. So I do feel that there is now an overall shift from the toxic positivity side of things into acknowledging the entire human experience and why that is healthy and necessary for growth and healing. And I hope that continues to be the case. I can look back on my personal journey, and I have so many journal entries about my struggles I was facing, problems I was facing, but then at the end I would always say, but I know that I just need to think positively, and what I think is what I attract. And yes, there is truth to that, but if you're not actually processing your emotions that are stored inside of you, or as they come it's just layering and layering and layering and layering, and you have all this stuff that is blocking you from having any of the abundance or the positive change that can come from embracing a positive mindset to even come in. This is, again, why I especially felt called to talk about this topic, because it is so important to know that you absolutely do not have to feel positively all the time, and it is absolutely not the solution to your problems to just think positive thoughts. Again, like we said, you can acknowledge your true feelings and emotions and your struggles while still feeling hopeful and having faith and belief and trust in that things will get better and that there is meaning behind what you're going through. This is something that we talk about often on this podcast. And this was a catalyst for me even creating Ebbs and Flows, seeing so much toxic positivity out there. And I was in the depths of my healing journey, acknowledging from what I was learning, like, no, this is not true healing. This is not healthy. This is not creating actual healing and change and growth in people, and it's just perpetuating more shame and guilt and resentment towards themselves. When you inevitably don't feel positive all the time, 24/7, you feel more of those negative feelings towards yourself, and life is all ebbs and flows, and that's okay, and that's healthy, and that is being a human. So that's a little bit of a tangent maybe, but this is an important topic to me because one of my main goals with Ebbs and Flows is to keep it as real as possible in spreading the message that there are ups and downs in life, and expecting anything else is just unrealistic, and it is all part of the human experience. You're not alone, and you're not weak, and more than one feeling can exist at the same time. You can feel sad or distraught or defeated while also feeling hopeful and grateful. Okay, another way that toxic positivity can hold you back is how it impacts your relationships with others. So toxic positivity can invalidate others' feelings, and this can create distance or distrust. So think about if you've ever went to someone and just shared something vulnerable, something you're feeling or struggling with or going through, and maybe the response was something like, well, just be positive, or, well, it's going to get better, just be grateful that you have this, or just think it could be worse. And think about how that made you feel. And a lot of the time, most of the time, I believe people are saying those things with good intentions. And it just unfortunately does not feel that way when you're on the receiving end, because like I said, it's invalidating your experience and your feelings. And most of the time, someone, all they want when they're sharing something like this is comfort or just someone to listen. So in a minute here, we're going to get into how you can shift into a healthier mindset and how you can respond to someone in a way that is supportive but not promoting toxic positivity. Because when this becomes a pattern, you usually will start to pull away from sharing things with this person or becoming vulnerable with this person because it doesn't feel safe to share your true, authentic self and feelings when you're just met with those kind of comments that invalidate what you're experiencing. Another way that toxic positivity holds you back is that it blocks your healing. So as I've mentioned, for example, in my personal healing journey, this was definitely the case. And for a lot of people, it is, because toxic positivity does not allow you to acknowledge and sit with and process your true feelings. And again, you absolutely have to allow your feelings to be felt and acknowledged and processed in order to create space for healing and growth and change to take place. And if this sounds difficult or impossible, if you are someone who lives in an anxious, fight or flight, tense state, I totally get that and can 1000% relate to that. And this is where I became interested in becoming a certified Reiki practitioner, and I'm now a Reiki master because I was learning about working with our energy and how our energy has to be balanced by working with our nervous system and regulating our nervous system, shifting us into a parasympathetic rest and digest state in order for our energy to clear and balance. And that is when emotions are able to move, become unstuck, move through you, and be released. So Side note, if this is something you're interested in, I do suggest looking into some sort of energy healing, energy work. Any way to regulate your nervous system is really going to be essential in allowing you to regulate yourself in order to feel safe to feel and acknowledge your feelings and process them. I share simple energy healing techniques over on Instagram at Ebbs Flows 222 if you're interested in that. I offer Reiki to humans and animals if you're interested in that. I have our website linked in all the descriptions and on Instagram. But yes, energy work is going to be very powerful in allowing you to process your emotions, especially if you're someone who you have struggled to do this so far in life and you have layers and layers and layers of emotion to work through, or you experience ailments in the mind, the body. I have a past podcast episode all about nervous system regulation, why it matters, and tools to use, and also an episode all about Reiki healing. So if you're interested, give those a listen. Check us out on Instagram or at our website. Anyways, as I was saying, blocks to healing. So toxic positivity ignores and avoids our true feelings and experiences, whereas you need to be able to acknowledge and sit with and process your feelings and experiences in order to heal, grow, change. And toxic positivity holds you back as well because it perpetuates shame. So it can make people feel ashamed for not feeling positive enough, when in reality, whatever emotion they're feeling is probably 100% valid, but they're being told or shown that they should feel positive or think positively. And this creates shame towards yourself, wondering, why don't I feel positive? What's wrong with me? Blah, blah, blah. Shame is a very deep-rooted, sneaky, powerful emotion that drives a lot of our subconscious thoughts, feelings, actions. And learning about shame is probably one of the top drivers for my true healing being able to take place. It was the theme of what I was working through and learning about in therapy. In my first 2 consistent years of going to therapy, it was all about shame. And we will talk more about shame versus guilt. Shame is very misunderstood, but it is very deep-rooted. And if you identify as a perfectionist, shame is the root of perfectionism, and we have a whole episode on that as well. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to shift into a healthier mindset. So, not as a shocker by this point, but number 1 is to validate all emotion. So self-compassion, I talk about a lot, but that's for a reason, because it is so powerful. Leaning into self-compassion, no matter what emotion it is that you're feeling or what you're experiencing, offering yourself self-compassion, and remember that all emotions serve a purpose. No matter what emotion it is, no matter where it is on the scale, the range of emotions, all emotions serve a purpose and are part of the human experience. And it would actually be more wrong and strange if you didn't feel those quote-unquote more negative emotions on that scale. We are meant to feel all the range of emotions, and leaning into self-compassion, telling yourself things like, it's okay to feel this way, instead of trying to force yourself into positivity or feeling positive and shoving down whatever it is you're feeling, acknowledging that it's okay to feel what it is you're feeling and asking yourself what's coming up for you and allowing that feeling to come up for you, sit with it, allow it to move through you, and honestly be proud of yourself for doing so, because it is not common practice in this world to even acknowledge what it is we're feeling, let alone to sit with it and allow it to come up without feeling shameful or trying to shove it down. Allow yourself to feel your feelings. Another way to shift into a healthier mindset is to practice authenticity. And authenticity, yes, has become a buzzword, but that's for a reason. It's because people are craving it. People crave authentic connection, and it really is so powerful and healing to allow yourself to show up as your authentic self and embrace your truth, the highs and the lows, And it can feel counterintuitive. Our instinct can be to mask things about ourselves, shove things down, and try and fit in to connect with others. Whereas true connection and deeper connection actually comes from allowing yourself to be vulnerable in showing up as your authentic self. You're going to feel more deeply connected to yourself. This cultivates self-love and self-trust, self-confidence, and you're going to feel more deeply connected to others. And showing up authentically encourages others to show up authentically and fosters those feelings in them, and it fosters more trust in your connections. So you really cannot go wrong with showing up as your authentic self. It may not always feel easy, it can feel scary, but it actually is the quickest, easiest way to foster a more positive relationship with yourself and with others. And if you're hearing this and thinking, I don't even know how to show up as my authentic self, I don't know who my authentic self is, I don't know what that looks or sounds like, I totally get that too, and that's valid. And I can suggest practices like meditation and journaling to help you get more clear on that. Because you do have to slow down and look inward in order to get clear on who your authentic self is. So meditation and journaling will be very helpful tools. Okay, another way you can shift into a healthier mindset is when you're supporting others. Instead of using toxic positivity statements like, you'll get over it, or, well, it's gonna get better, it's not that bad, it could have been worse, it could be worse, just think positively, just be happy, good vibes only. Try statements like, that sounds really hard and I'm here for you. Or, again, it's okay to feel this way, your feelings are valid. Because again, think about times when you've come to someone being vulnerable or sharing how you're feeling or something you're going through, and usually with good intentions, but someone will say any of those statements to you. And think of how you felt. It probably just made you feel worse. It definitely didn't make you feel better. So it can take some practice to not respond with those more toxic positivity statements, but it is actually holding space for others to just allow them to have their feelings and let them know that they're valid and that you are there for them. And holding space is something we hear often. I'm holding space for you. Or I know when I host my retreats with my partner Lacey, we are there to hold space for the participants. And holding space just means that you are acknowledging someone's feelings and experience without judgment. So you don't always have to offer advice or a solution to someone. It's even more powerful to simply acknowledge their feelings and let them know that you're holding space for them. And again, that just means that you're acknowledging their feelings and validating them without judgment. So you can be struggling, but also acknowledging that there is meaning to life, that there is hope, that there are better things on the other side of this experience or feeling, and that life and feelings come in ebbs and flows, ups and downs, and you are not alone, and the universe is co-conspiring in your favor, and it doesn't always feel that way, and that's okay too. But knowing you can let yourself sit in and feel sad, angry, hurt, resentful, any of those feelings, but that there is then power and meaning in shifting out of them and carrying on. And that true healing comes when we allow ourselves to live our full human experience and acknowledge our full human range of emotions, and that no matter how bad things feel, they will feel good again. But not beating yourself up for feeling a certain way or denying your feelings or shoving them down. Okay, I hope that I was able to make this all make sense, make it clear the difference between toxic positivity and a healthier mindset and true positivity, and that positivity can coexist with whatever other feeling you're experiencing. We have to make space to acknowledge and feel our feelings. In the simplest terms, toxic positivity is denying our human experience, it's denying our feelings and shoving them down. And a healthier mindset, healthy positivity, is acknowledging, accepting, and validating every emotion that we feel, while also acknowledging hope and that there is meaning behind all of it, and that life continues on. And that feeling does not mean that you're failing. So if there's anything you've taken away from this episode, if you're wondering, okay, what do I do with all this information? I encourage you to do a little audit of the language that you use towards yourself and towards others, and the responses that you use towards yourself and towards others when it comes to sharing feelings or feeling your feelings, and see what sort of language it is that you're using and how you can shift it to come from a more healthy mindset, from more of a healthy positivity angle rather than toxic positivity. And if you find that you have been guilty of leaning into toxic positivity, do not beat yourself up. This is so widely spread in our world, especially with social media. And again, it's usually very well intended, but becoming aware of how we can shift to a healthier mindset, a healthier way to support ourselves and others is something you should be proud of, and it is something that allowed me to create genuine, true healing, growth, and change, and has allowed me to connect on a deeper level with myself and with others. The absolute biggest lesson I have ever learned is the power of feeling our feelings and how absolutely necessary it is, and allowing yourself to do so. You will see over time that you experience less pain and struggles and ailments of the mind, the body, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically. I promise you. So, thank you for listening today. I hope that this has been helpful and valuable in some way. I hope that I was able to make this make sense, and I would love to hear from you at Ebbs and Flows 222 on Instagram, or send me an email at erinebbsandflows@gmail.com. I look forward to talking to you guys next week, sending a lot of love and gratitude. Bye-bye.